From murder to torture. Torture of political prisoners was routine in South Africa's prisons. We have heard the perpetrators of torture describe their methods: the wet bag, the helicopter, electric shocks, sadistic attacks against the body. Yet the one form of torture described as the worst the world over is that of solitary confinement, where a prisoner is alone 23 hours a day, deprived of human contact, an attack on the mind and the soul. This is the story of Zahrah Narkedien, a former Umkhonto Sizwe cadre who was confined in a basement for 7 months.
The sound of nobody but myself. I'd be crying and screaming against this loneliness. I have this feeling that God has abandoned me, the world doesn't exist, only I exist. A part of my soul was eaten away by maggots. I can hold on one more day, I can do it.
Zahrah Narkedien spent 7 months alone in the basement of Klerksdorp prison. In July this year, she spoke about it for the first time at a special TRC hearing on prisons.
They did destroy me.
Before she converted to Islam, Zahrah was known as Greta Appelgren, a fiery activist from Wentworth in Natal. In 1986, she was recruited into an Umkhonto Sizwe unit by Robert McBride. She was willing because she was already very frustrated with above-ground political work.
I'm not going to talk about apartheid anymore. I'm not going to campaign against it. I'm going to fight against it. If I have to burn apartheid, I am going to do that. And I was on my way after that to Umkhonto Sizwe.
Their unit of 8 was involved in a number of missions in Natal. One of them was a daring rescue of their commander, Gordon Webster, from Edendale Hospital. A shootout ensued and an innocent was killed. But the mission that caused the biggest outcry and which led to their arrest was the Magoo's Bar explosion. On June 14, in 1986, a powerful car bomb exploded at the Why Not Bar, also known as Magoo's, in Durban. 3 patrons died and 67 were injured. Robert McBride had placed the bomb. Zahrah Narkedien was involved in reconnaissance and logistics.
I think with Magoo's, we had a certain philosophy. After every activity that we did, after every action, we would tell ourselves that it never happened. It was just a nightmare. It never happened, and you would sort of conscientize yourself to to deaden that memory. It was a horrible situation. But you must remember, when you're going into the armed struggle and you're telling yourself, I am ready now to use violence to the extent that others would be injured or even die for that matter, you really do go on a level that, on the one hand, you're saying it's an honor as a soldier, I'm going that high, but it's also a dishonor, because violence is something unreasonable. I read once that violence is the lowest form of human behavior. Actually, Robert was very emotional after that incident, contrary to what the people have made him out to be. And okay, what he has made himself out to be, this is the part he hates me to talk about, because he's this big macho man, you see. But he was a man just like every other man, a soldier just like every other, that starts becoming maybe that Vietnam syndrome, where they start to become extremely depressed because of what they have done. And we were actually in hiding in Hillbrow at the time. And he used to wake up like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and he used to cry and cry. His whole body would be in a ball, bent over, and he used to sob, and I knew what it was, but being the macho man, I could never go and comfort him or question him.
Soon after, the 2 were arrested on the morning they had planned to slip into Botswana and exile. McBride was sentenced to death and Narkedien to 2.5 years of imprisonment. When she arrived at Klerksdorp prison, she had already spent a long time in solitary confinement before and during her trial. Her happiness at being in a communal cell in Klerksdorp came to an abrupt end when she was sent to the basement for 7 months as a form of punishment.
As the months went by, I realized I really don't have anyone to talk to. I have only myself. And okay, letters don't help in the end. And the silence in the cell, I can hear it. It's loud, I can hear the silence. And then my body, like my spirit and my body used to get so depressed that I would cry, not because I want to cry. I asked myself, I don't want to cry. But my body would just go into spasms. I'd throw myself on the bed, like that same child, and I'd riot and riot. I'd be crying and screaming against this loneliness. And I thought, why? Why can't I endure it? I will be out in the next, I had a year to go. I can endure a year of this, just one day at a time. But every day I couldn't. Some days it used to be so bad. If my parents don't know this, I used to fill the pot with boiling hot water and I used to throw myself in. Because the pain of getting burnt was easy to handle. It distracted me from the psychological pain. Or I'd fill the sink with hot water and I would plunge my hands in. And because at certain times of the day, the loneliness was more painful. The sound of nobody but myself. And then that physical distraction is to help. I had a yard like this, and I'd sit on the stoop and there would be a bird there. And because I'm there, the bird flies away. And I'd cry immediately.
Rejection.
How could even the bird abandon me? And I couldn't rationalize it. I was so damaged that even the bird leaving me was painful. I was damaged. I was completely finished. But every morning when the lieutenant came and said, Mora, klagtes? And no, I would refuse to tell her that you have succeeded. You have damaged me beyond repair.
But Zahrah was damaged in more complex ways. She spent 7 months in that basement because of some of her comrades. There was racial tension. She was belittled for being coloured. One woman, a high-ranking MK soldier, made sexual advances. Zahrah rejected her. In retaliation, she was blamed for a fight between 2 prisoners. And once again, Zahrah was confined to the sound of nobody but herself.
Well, that really hurt me a great deal because, when I was in solitary confinement in every prison I was at until I got to Klerksdorp. And I was so thrilled to meet my comrades. They were all strong women. At least that's what it seemed. Until after about the 3rd or 4th week, the honeymoon was over. And then I really saw how damaged my comrades were. They'd been in prison longer than I was. But okay, I know sex is a good, releases tension in the body, and it's also reassuring for each other, whether it's between 2 men or 2 women. But I hadn't been in prison long enough to need that. So I wasn't ready for a sexual relationship with anybody. And least of all, this tough, masculine woman was determined to bully everybody left, right, and center. Okay, I know she was the most damaged. And we all understood that we were all older than her and we were all willing to mother her. But I wasn't willing and ready to be her sex partner, so to speak. So I paid dearly for that. I went through that 7 months of solitary confinement and all the other months. And I'm still living, and I'm still okay, and I know I can do a lot of things. But if I deny that I'm damaged, then I feel I'll be weak. By acknowledging that I'm damaged, I'm strong. Do you understand that contradiction?
It's not a contradiction.
Yeah, by saying yes, okay, I have been hurt, I have been damaged, and the damage won't go away, it won't heal, but time will make it less and less and less. Because I know after 2 years I wouldn't accept it, but when I accepted 2 years later after being released, I noticed I was becoming stronger, I was more confident about myself, I could dance more and really live with that, a certain part of my soul gone. It's like the soul is a round thing, and there's a small part that's gone. And I can survive with 90% of my soul. I really can.